My name is Eileen Donnelly and I'm a member of the NAPCE National Executive. I work as an educational consultant in Northern Ireland, specialising in the area of personal and social development. This video recording, Adolescents in Lockdown, Victims or Villains, looks at long-term implications of lockdown on young people's personal and social development. Media reporting of our young people during the pandemic varies. Many express real concern about a generation deprived of academic support, relationships and experiences needed to support their journey from adolescent to adulthood. Others, caught up in a blame culture, continue to view them as selfish, reckless rule breakers, contributing to widespread outbreaks of the virus. The former view tends to prevail, and whilst it will be some time before we can measure the true extent of lost learning, initial findings from data derived from GL's Progress Test Series in English and Maths reveal that English as a subject was less affected than Maths. Also, pupils in primary school, that's up to Key Stage 2, have been more affected than those in the post-primary sector. Restart programmes will no doubt be taking cognizance of this. Other findings reflect that our girls appear to have been more affected than boys overall. Whilst the girls normally outperform boys in English, that gap has narrowed. Conversely, boys have historically performed better in Maths, and the pandemic has resulted in this gap widening even further. Emerging evidence from various studies implies that our girls have also fared worse than that of boys in mental well-being. However, our school provision in Northern Ireland goes well beyond the academic. The internal curriculum offers numerous clubs and societies, games and sports, fundraising activities, proms, educational visits, and other academic rituals, all contributing to the development of the essential skills like self-management, creative and constructive thinking, problem-solving, decision-making, working with others, all missed opportunities. Opportunities for development of values has also been shelved. Deprived of interaction with peers, young people have been able to practice life values like respect, loyalty, reliability, dependability, and commitment, just to name but a few. All values which society depend on to function. Unfortunately, these values cannot readily be developed and practiced virtually. Indeed, pre-COVID, the overuse of virtual socialisation had already been identified as a contributor to health issues, including stress, anxiety and depression in young people. The problem has been compounded. For some, the greatest loss will be the listening ear. That teacher, counsellor, or often friend who is there for them to listen and help them make sense of their lives. The absence of this culture of care, nurtured through the school's pastoral provision, has left a void. Its absence, along with a lack of access to support services and high levels of pre-existing problems, has created the perfect storm of factors, contributing to an excessive number of young people with mental health disorders. In Northern Ireland, we have relied on students' responses to the GL Pupils' Attitude to Self in School, or PASS survey, to alert us to these problems. Through an analysis of their responses, teachers gained an insight into the mindset of students to identify, among other things, the extent of their affiliation with schools, their self-concept and self-esteem, and the metacognitive, the extent to which they believe they are prepared for learning. Factors 6 and 7 of the report measure students' resilience and self-motivation, the ability to bounce back in the face of challenge, particularly relevant at this stage. Moving forward, we will be relying heavily on the PASS survey to identify students most at risk and requiring intervention strategies. We are envisaging these to be a focus of our mentoring programmes. Additionally, We will use the survey results as a baseline to measure impact of schools' restart programs. Adolescence is a critical stage of brain development and at a time of major hormonal and biological changes. They are beginning the transformation from adolescent to adulthood, and striving for autonomy, they move away from the family unit, interacting more with peers. This enables them to construct a personality identity and concept of self, which helps them navigate new possible adult roles. Lockdown has robbed them of these experiences, and missing these key developmental milestones will inevitably result in diminished social competence, affecting society as a whole. However, we must never underestimate the resourcefulness of teenagers. Many will have used their time productively to interact more in family life, volunteer, commit to studies, explore new interests and hobbies, and plan bright futures. Nevertheless, we cannot shift ultimate responsibility for well-being onto teenagers themselves. This pandemic has been inconsistent on its effects on groups of young people. Social deprivation, the elephant in the room, has grown. Those with advantage before the pandemic and those with better resources during it have fared much better. As educators, we have always battled with the impact of social inequalities. COVID has just further amplified it for us. Moving forward with our restart plans, it is important we provide hope and paint a positive future for our young people. Without this, their optimism may fade. Young people's needs must be addressed, and schools have to be properly resourced to respond. Learning from experience of previous large-scale disasters, the question of who is caring for the carers needs to be addressed, because teachers are also victims of this pandemic.